Carmi, we were just talking with an ophthalmologist about the eclipse, but I wanted to take, and you brought this up, and I hadn't even thought of this. I just thought, hey, I have a camera, I can take a picture and whatever, but it's not that simple. And for a lot of people who just have a smartphone and figure they can do this, what do we need to know here?
Well, your eyes need protection using eclipse glasses. So does your smartphone.
Oh.
So does your camera, any kind of camera, including your smartphone. Reason being, if you point a camera, a digital camera, at the sun, whether it's in eclipse or not, you risk burning out the sensor. So if you don't want to have a camera after the eclipse, point it at it without protection. Otherwise, get a solar filter for your phone. Find out from wherever you bought it if they have them available for your particular model. If not, you can use your eclipse glasses. You can just kind of manually cover the device as you take a photo.
Oh.
But of course, make sure that your eyes are protected all the time as well.
So wait a sec. On a smartphone, I mean, I'm going to say on an iPhone, but they're all kind of the same. That lens that juts out there, that's what has to be covered. That's a pretty small area.
It is, and that's why, like, it doesn't take a lot, and that's why for a lot of people, they're just going to be, winging it, right? Using the glasses they got on their face, just moving it over, pointing it up at the sky, and holding their breath and taking a photo. So do make sure that both your eyes and your camera during the period where the eclipse is starting to happen and then after. So in other words, before totality and after totality, those are the danger times, both for your retinas as well as your sensors. You've got to have coverage. You've got to have protection. During totality, if you find yourself in an area where it is completely covered, you can take the solar filter off of your phone and you can take your special glasses off of your eyes. But do be careful because you're only going to have about 4 minutes during totality where it is safe. And then as soon as that's over, you need to have that protection back on before the moon starts moving off of the sun. So timing is very crucial. And if you're not at all sure, don't even look up. Just keep your glasses on and be extremely careful. Because chances are, even if you think, well, I've got to get the picture, everyone's going to be trying to take the same picture.
Oh, yeah.
It's like shooting video at a concert. No one watches that stuff later on anyway. It's probably going to be lousy. Leave it to the pros. Enjoy the moment.
Look, everybody, I got a picture of the eclipse. I must be the only one, except for the other 30 million people who did it too. By the way, since you seem to know so much about this, so you're saying that from the time that moon shadow is fully over the sun, it stays that way for how long? 4 minutes?
Yeah, totality is about 4 minutes, and that's when the moon completely covers the sun. All you can see is the corona around the edges, right? Sort of the round corona. And that's when you can really see some really cool things. The reason that you take your glasses off and you take the solar filter off is if you leave them on, you won't see that corona. You won't see the actual eclipse. Because it would just be too dark. So, that's sort of one of those things is you might want to, time 4 minutes or just take a couple of really quick pictures and then put everything back on. But don't go right down to the end of totality. You certainly don't want to take any chances here. When in doubt, simply don't take the shots.
Yeah.
What I did the last time there was an eclipse in Canada, this is about, it was in 2017. So coming up on 7 years, I took pictures. I positioned myself under a tree because the shadows that come through the leaves and through a tree are really freaky when you look at the ground. So I was taking pictures of the people that I was with. I was taking pictures of the shadows. And instead of looking directly at the sun, even though I had protective glasses, I got some really interesting pictures that no one else got. And so think about what does it look like around you? And you may end up with something unique, certainly way better than a fuzzy picture of an eclipse that everyone else has gotten anyway.
This wasn't a drug-induced experience you're describing, was it, Carmi?
No, it wasn't.
Okay,
It was
checking.
It was the same impact as we often hear about pinhole cameras. You can make your own pinhole camera. So this is the same. It's the same optical principle, but it's nature basically building a pinhole camera. When you look at a tree, and there aren't a lot of leaves now because obviously it's still too early, but there are some trees that keep their leaves, and so find one, and then as the light comes through during the eclipse, it will actually create these really cool effects when it casts the shadow on the ground. So it's almost like a multiple repeating pinhole camera, all provided by nature for free and very safe because you're looking away from the sun, not at it.
All right, let me move on. I like this story only because I remember when Amazon first announced this, right? I thought, well, this is the future. I wonder how this will work out. Amazon owns grocery stores in the U.S., right? I'm not sure if we have any of those in Canada. And they had a system called Just Walk Out, where you basically you bought whatever you wanted. There was no cashier. I guess you got scanned on the way out, and we thought, hey, this is perfect. No more lineups, no more nothing. Well, guess what? Amazon is ditching the system. Why?
Because the technology didn't work like they
Well, there you
promised it
go.
would. Yeah, they had stuffed those stores with all sorts of cameras and sensors, and the idea was that they would track you as you went through the store. As you put things in your cart, they would know what you bought. If you put things back, it would take it away, and then as you walked out of the store, it would send you an invoice. Well, the customers were reporting that it was taking hours for that invoice to hit their inbox. The system was slow. It didn't keep up in real time. And now Amazon admits that, well, it wasn't as technologically advanced as they said it was. They had to hire a team of over 1,000 people in India to
Wow.
watch the camera feeds in real time and intervene when the technology failed. And in fact, those emails that your bill that you were supposed to get at the end, they were putting them together manually and sending them via email. So all was not as what it seemed. The tech just wasn't ready for prime time, and they are instead going to replace those with smart shopping carts, which have shown up in some groceries in Montreal on a test basis. Certainly some grocery stores near me have had them. But in every single case, and this is another case of I think the technology isn't fully baked, we know what happens to grocery carts in the parking lot. They get beaten up. And so this technology, when I sort of ask store employees, how they work, they just look at me and shrug. So they're not trained. The technology isn't as tough as it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I think Amazon's about to learn another hard lesson: is that the grocery experience, there's still no replacement for staff members who know what they're doing. Sometimes technology is not the answer.
Hear, hear from the technology guy.